Most people don't downsize because of money or timing or even the house. They don't downsize because they don't know where they'd go. And that one question, where would we even move, is what keeps people in homes that no longer fit their lives for years longer than they should be. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had where someone says, we know this house doesn't fit anymore. We just don't know what the next step looks like. So that's what this video is about. Not whether to downsize, but what the real options actually look like and how to think about them before you're trying to figure it out under pressure. Because there isn't just one path. And the difference between a smooth transition and a stressful one usually comes down to whether you thought through this part early. Let's walk through it. Option 1, a smaller home. This is the one most people picture first. Same general area, maybe even the same neighborhood, just less square footage, less maintenance, and a layout that actually fits your life now instead of 20 years ago. This is the one that feels like the most natural transition. It doesn't feel like dramatic life change. You're still a homeowner, you still have your space, it just fits you better. But it's worth asking one honest question. Is a smaller version of the same thing actually solving the problem or reducing it? Sometimes it's exactly right, and sometimes what people really need is something fundamentally different. Option 2, a low maintenance property. This is where you start shifting responsibilities. Think patio homes, townhomes, sometimes condos, depending upon the area. Less yard work, less exterior maintenance, less to keep up with. For a lot of homeowners, this is where things start to feel lighter, like the house is working for you instead of the other way around. The trade-off is HOA fees, different rules, and less control over certain things. That doesn't make it wrong. You just want to be clear on what you're trading for it. Option 3, moving closer to family. This is a big one, and honestly, for a lot of people, this is what the decision is really about. Sometimes downsizing isn't about the house at all. It's about being closer to the people who matter. That might mean moving across town. Sometimes it means moving across the state. And there's another version of this I hear pretty often. I'll just stay here as long as I can, and then I'll go live with my kids. I always pause a little when I hear that. Not because families don't want to help each other, they usually do, but a lot of times that plan hasn't actually been talked through in any detail. Not what it would look like day to day, not the space, the schedules, the finances, the caregiving expectations. There's a real difference between we'll figure it out if we had to and we actually planned for this. And those are the conversations that are a lot easier to have when no one is under pressure yet. Option 4, 55 and up communities. This is the one where there's the most confusion, so let's clear up what this actually is. These are sometimes called active adult communities. They're not assisted living. These are just regular homes in communities designed for people in a similar stage of life. Usually, they're single-story, smaller floor plans with lower maintenance, and often things like walking trails, clubhouses, and social activities built right in. For a lot of people, it's a really nice middle ground. You still have full independence with lots less responsibility and more built-in community. I've personally toured a few of these communities in San Antonio over the years, and what I can tell you is this: the people who explore these early before they feel like they have to almost always have a much better experience than the ones trying to figure it out quickly. Now, separate from that, there's another category that's based on support needs rather than lifestyle. This is where you get into the independent living, assisted living, and memory care. I bring this up because timing matters more here than most people realize. A lot of families wait until they actually need assisted living, and by that point the options feel limited and transitions are harder. Families who plan ahead tend to have a much smoother path. Sometimes moving into a 55 plus or independent living first makes the transition to assisted living or higher care easier if it's ever needed. There are also services out there often called senior living locators or placement agents or placement services that help families navigate these options. And in a large city like San Antonio, that can be very helpful because there's a lot of choices. I know several that do a really great job and are a valuable resource for families. And I've toured many of these places myself with clients, and even with that, there's no way for one person to know every option out there in such a large city. So having help can absolutely make this easier. but it's also worth understanding how some of these services work. Many of them are compensated by the communities they refer you to. That doesn't mean the recommendation is wrong, but it does mean it's worth asking a few questions. Are you seeing all of the options or just certain ones? How are they compensated? What if it's not the right fit? Because the goal isn't just to find a place, it's to find the right place the first time, especially because moving is disruptive and even more so later in life. Option 5, renting. This one doesn't get talked about enough. A lot of people assume downsizing always means buying again, but sometimes renting actually makes more sense. It gives you flexibility, removes maintenance, and allows you to try a new area or a new way of living without committing long term. It's not the right answer for everyone, but it's worth considering before assuming the next step has to be another purchase. Option 6, staying put and modifying the home. Sometimes downsizing doesn't mean moving right away. It means making the current home more functional for this stage of life, reworking the layout, adding accessibility features, reducing maintenance where possible. For some people, this becomes a short-term bridge. For others, it extends the timeline significantly. Either way, it's a legitimate option that should be part of the conversation. Here's what I want to leave you with. This decision really isn't about picking the right type of home. It's about getting clear on what you want your life to look like next. Do you want less responsibility, to be closer to family? Do you want that lock and leave lifestyle with more flexibility or simplicity? Because once that part is clear, the housing decision usually becomes a lot easier. These decisions are rarely ever real estate decisions. They're life decisions that happen to involve real estate. What I see most often is people try to solve this by working backwards. They start by looking at homes instead of starting with how they actually want to live. And that's how people end up somewhere that technically works, but doesn't really feel right. You don't have to have the answer today, but it's worth starting the conversation early while you still have the time and flexibility to make this decision on your own terms. If you haven't watched my video on when to start thinking about downsizing, that's a good place to go next. And I also have a video on what families go through when they inherit property, because a lot of these situations overlap more than people expect. If you're in the San Antonio area and want to talk through what this could look like for your situation, I'm always happy to have that conversation. You don't have to rush this, you just want to get clear before the decision gets made for you.